Hi YouTube, this is Joe Calton with Calton Cutlery. You can find me on the web, caltoncutlery.com. Well, you guys are probably wondering, where on earth have I been? It's been 3 months since I shot a YouTube video. Well, I quit smoking about 4 months ago. Did really good about the first month or so. Stayed out of the shop because this is where, I used to smoke all the time. Stayed out of the shop as much as I could, and I thought I was getting a handle on it because, this is where I used to smoke, so, kind of old habits die hard. Thought I was getting a good handle on it, started coming back into the shop, and then it was kind of a rough spot for me to be, so I ended up taking care of some outdoor projects. Springtime in Wyoming, after a long hard winter, we've had plenty of work and projects to do outside the shop. So I got into those. I had some trees that need trimmed, some that needed taken down, both for me and for some friends. Some with some really nice burls on them. I'll have to shoot some more videos of the burl itself later. But anyway, so with these trees that I needed trimmed up or taken care of, and some of them were pretty big trouble trees. We're talking cottonwoods that range from that big around to that big around. I mean, cottonwoods get really big, and sometimes they cause trouble, property damage, fallen roof, branches on roofs, holes, a whole bunch of nastiness. So anyway, so I kind of got into I wouldn't call it logging, and I really wouldn't call myself an arborist. I'd just call myself an average Joe that has got some trouble trees that need taken care of. So anyway, I have had a chainsaw for quite a while. It's a Husqvarna. My first one was a Husqvarna 345, 16-inch bar. Really nice, kind of homeowner grade type saw, I've done an awful lot of work with it, taking it up to elk camp, but I needed something bigger because, like I said, some of these cottonwoods were really big. So getting on the internet, and some of them I had to learn how to climb to be able to take them down. So getting on YouTube, which is, my favorite place for learning stuff, I come across a guy's channel. His name's Buckin' Billy Ray. If you guys have not seen Buckin' Billy Ray's channel, you're missing out. The dude is really funny, extremely knowledgeable about tree work, climbing the trees, taking them down, just felling them, bucking them up. He loves old power saws. I also, love vintage things an awful lot of the times, and so I kind of got into it. So anyway, so the purpose of this video right here is one of his favorite saws is the McCulloch ProMac, or I think he likes all of the McCulloch 1010s. But the one that I got is a McCulloch ProMac 1010. I finally found one after I've been looking for one for a couple of months now. Finally found one. I actually had it given to me. It looked pretty good. It was missing an air cleaner, the carb needed rebuilt, the fuel line needed replaced, and it had a dinky little 16-inch bar on it. And if you guys have seen Buckin' Billy Ray, he likes the 28-inch bar, and I do too. So we'll go ahead and show you off a couple of saws here. Probably get it. There we go. So anyway, so this is the one that I got given to me. Stopped by to pick up a lawnmower from one of my favorite small engine guys, and I asked him if he had any chainsaws, and he says, well, none that run, can you work on them? And I said, well, if it's the right saw, sure. And we pulled this one down. He had it hanging up in his shop. It's a McCulloch ProMac 1010. I believe on the carburetor it said 1976 was stamped on the carburetor when I ordered the rebuild kit for it. Really nice saw. It was pretty much just dirty. And I'll show you the bar on it here in a second. Actually, while I got you down here. And then this one right here was the saw that I had been using, or one of them, and it is a McCulloch ProMac 610, which, a little bit newer version of the 1010 as far as I know. They both got chain brakes. They're both fairly, I would call them kind of modern saws. I mean, they have, well, they start and they run and they have chain brakes, and you can still find parts for them, so that's got to be fairly modern, right? But anyway, they both came with really small bars. This one right here came with a 18 if I remember right. Got it at a pawn shop for $20 or so, and they do, Billy Ray is right, they work amazing with this 28-inch bar. I'm about 6 foot tall, and here, like I said, cottonwood gets really big. I've been working with some trees that are as much as 6 foot in diameter at the ground, so they can get fairly large. So this extra bar length really helps on larger trees like that. Plus, with this longer, you know, like I would say 20 inches is probably like a standard length for a chainsaw bar, but that extra 8 inches makes it to where you don't have to bend over as much. You know, I mean, just standing right here, there, now the tip of the bar is actually touching the ground. You know, I'm not stooped over or nothing, which, you know, I think it makes it a lot more comfortable. And this saw, the 610, I believe, is a 61cc saw, and it has no problem pulling that chain through, you know, gnarly wet cottonwood. So this one right here is the star of this video, and it is, like I said, the McCulloch 1010. I just put this bar on it. Posted a picture of it up on the Vintage McCulloch Facebook page, and somebody was asking me how I got it on there, what was the number on it, and all that kind of stuff. So here you go. Here's the number on the carton. Now I got this from Frawley's. Yeah, Frawley's Saw Shop in Iowa, I believe. Let you look at that, and then you can kind of pause it if you need to or whatever. The website is loggerchain.net. There's your part numbers of the bar and the chain that I ordered. I think I also got an air filter for that 1010 also. And then the price was down here. I think it was yeah, 112 bucks. The bar was 75. The chain was 26. The air filter was 11. I think it was free shipping if you order more than, can't remember if it was free shipping if you order more than 100 or if it was just free shipping all the way around. I can't remember. But I've ordered from him before, and it I've been pleased so far with the bars and the chains. So anyway, so the way I found this part number on this particular bar here is he's got a bar selector on the website. So you go on the website and you know, click the drop down thing and you say, okay, well, I've got a McCulloch, and then here's the model number of the saw, in this case a 1010, and then you can just hit search and it'll bring up all the bars that he has or that will work for that particular saw. And this is the bar that came up in the search. It bolts up just fine. The adjuster, the chain tensioner and everything works just fine. The one thing that it doesn't work just fine is the oil holes. And I'll go ahead, yeah, I'll go ahead and pull it apart right now and then show you what I had to do. I had to carve new oil holes, which really wasn't that big of a deal. I should have grabbed a wrench. Hold on. Okay, we got a wrench here. So let's tighten. That's loosened. Okay, first make sure your chain brake is off. Of course, I guess first thing is make sure it's not running, right? But sometimes you really kind of have to wonder when you're putting instructions out there. Okay, so I'm going to do this kind of backwards so that you guys can see it. About like that, maybe? Okay. So we're going to loosen up the bar nuts and then back off on our adjuster screw just to kind of make it a little bit easier. Yeah, so that friend of mine gave me this saw for free. Well, I bought a lawnmower from him, so maybe it was a buy one get one free type of day. And I've bought, you know, lawnmowers and weed eaters and other stuff from him before. He also handymans on the side, and I've had him do some work for me here and there when I was swamped. Really great guy. But anyway, so he gave me the saw, and I immediately ordered up, well, after I found out that it ran, they had tissue paper stuffed down inside the air box because the air filter was missing. I guess they were hoping that tissue paper was going to clean the air before it got to the carburetor. So we pulled all that out, found out the fuel line was leaking. It didn't have a fuel filter. There's a whole bunch of gunk in the tank along with old gas. So a rebuild kit for the carb, new fuel line, new air filter plus a spare, and then of course the bar and chain and these amazing freaking ginormous gnarly McCulloch dogs. Love those things. So anyway, so you take your chain cover off, right? Can you see all that? Yep, you can see all that. Okay, so now you have this little cover plate, and that comes off, just slips off there. Okay, so now you can kind of start to see, you know, how everything's set up in here. So you got this slot right here. Now that slot is for your bar studs, okay? And then you've got a hole here and a hole here, and then a dinky little bitty hole right here, okay? This is the oil hole that comes, or this is the factory oil hole on this bar, all right? Now we'll go ahead and pull the chain. Okay, so I got the chain off. Now the bar slips forward. Like I said, I'm doing this backwards. There. And of course, bar oil is just sticky, nasty mess, which is what it's supposed to be, right? I got a wood chip in there. There we go. Okay. So that there is the little bitty oil hole that's factory made. Okay, so oil is supposed to go through that hole and get into your rails here, right? Well, that's a really small hole to get enough oil to go this entire length of this bar. All right, now if you look at the saw, let's get the chain out of the way. Okay, you got your other cover plate. We'll put this one back here, and you can see this and this. Yeah, your oil comes through a channel right in here somewhere, and it fills this whole area up with oil. Can you see that in there? So, all right, let's turn this around without kinking the chain, hopefully. Okay, there. So this right here is your oil channel, right? The oil comes out of that little bitty hole in there, comes in here, and then it's supposed to go through that little bitty angled hole and get into the rails on your bar. Okay, well, that's honestly not going to happen. I mean, not with this type of setup. So this bar has got that angled hole on both sides. There it is there, and there it is there. Right there. Well, you hold that up there, and you realize that that oil hole, it's only going to be, because it's forward, that oil hole is forward of your normal oil holes right here, right? So if the bar is all the way out, your oil hole's way farther past this groove. You can't get oil in there. So it has to be far back here, and honestly, I think it's too tall. It's actually hitting here. All right? So if you look at the McCulloch bar, the bar that came, the bar and chain that came with the saw, you'll notice that it doesn't have that. it doesn't have that little angled hole. All it has are these holes, right? Well, if you take these holes, you see in there? Okay, so that hole, it's a hole here. Let's get a pointer. This is a hole right here that lines up with that channel, right back there, right? But then there's a hole in the top of your rail that goes into and meets up with that hole. This new bar did not have that. This was solid. It was a solid hole. Now if you look, you should be able to see, see the light shining through? Okay, so all I did with this was once I mounted it onto the chainsaw, started running it, found out that there was no oil getting to the bar, took it apart, looked it over, realized, hey, those channels weren't there. So what I did was I grabbed a 3/32 drill bit. I actually grabbed 2 or 3 of them because I broke a couple getting those holes in there, right? Okay, so this distance, or the measurement from here to here, is 50 thousandths. So that groove is 50 thousandths wide. That's what's on the data plate, you know, right there on the bar. So that's 50 thousandths. A 3/32 drill bit is 94 thousandths. Okay, so you do have to kind of widen, you know, you kind of walk your drill bit in there, get it coming up to full speed, and then just gently kind of peck away at it until you get a channel started, and then you can go all the way down in and then finish drilling through here. I put 2 of them. So one is coming like this, and then one is coming like this. So I put 2 holes here and then 2 holes here. Once the holes got drilled, then I took a utility knife. Okay, you put it in there and you just kind of run it back and forth, you know, pivot it to break most of the burrs off. The chain will finish taking any light burrs that are in there out. And now all of a sudden you can get oil, you know, through this channel back here. The oil comes in, goes into this hole, and then is forced up to the inside of the rail, and then the chain carries it around the rest of the bar. So anyway, once you get that done, then we'll put it back up here. We'll put my saw back together so it'll be ready to go. I think next week I'm going to go take down a pretty nice pine. It's been killed by the pine beetles that we've been having bad luck with around here lately. I want to say it's about 24-inch diameter, something like that. So these things right here, they're tapered like that. So they're kind of flared out going that way. So I put that flare to where it's toward the saw on the first one. So put that in. Then we're going to grab the bar. Well, first we're going to make sure that our chain is on the sprocket. Like I said, this working backwards is kind of weird sometimes for the camera. But there we go, it's in the sprocket. So now we take our bar, slide the bar in, and then slide it as far back as it'll go while we put the chain on. Kind of loop the chain around the front there, and then we can kind of pull it up some. Make sure the chain is inside the sprocket and the chain is mostly inside the rails on the bar. Now we take, actually we're going to take a pair of pliers here and shove them up underneath that side to kind of tilt the saw this way some. And we're going to wipe off our other cover plate, or guide plate, or whatever you want to call it, I guess. And then it goes in again, you know, to where those plates, they kind of go like this and have the chain in between, so they kind of guide it. And then we need our chain brake with our adjuster there, and we ought to wipe some of that nastiness out of there, huh? Okay, and then get those up in there, and then kind of move the bar back and forth until we feel the adjuster fall into the adjusting hole. And then, see, I can't even see what I'm doing here. Of course, that's the time for your phone to ring too, right? So we get the bar nuts on there and get them started. We're at 21 minutes. First video in 3 months, and of course it's going to be a long one. Of course, you guys are used to me shooting long videos, huh? Okay. So we got that kind of snugged up. Now we'll grab this one. I kind of like to get them snugged up a little bit and then double check the clutch and make sure everything looks like it's seated all the way. And it does. It doesn't look like there's any like real big gaps where there shouldn't be. So then I come in once I got it seated, and then I back off of them a little bit. And then we're going to turn the adjusting screw. And you guys see that slack coming out of the chain? See how that slack's picking up? Now when you adjust your chain, make sure you're either pulling up on the end of the bar, you can see my hand, pulling up on the end of the bar, or put the bar onto the bench top and then pull up the back of the saw. Because this, if you drop it, the chain will loosen up. So anyway, we'll hold that up, and this is a new chain, so it'll still stretch some. So I'll go just a little bit more there, and then we'll tighten up our bar nuts. Yeah, get them snug, and then just a little bit extra. I would guess that's probably, I don't know, maybe 20 foot-pounds of torque, something like that. And then double check and make sure that, be real careful when you're doing this, because even though this chain isn't running, these teeth are freaking sharp. I mean, really sharp. You slip and it'll, you know, it'll lay your hand open. So anyway, yeah, that's about it. Like I said, the part number is in there. The modification to the bar so that the oil can get through there is there. Probably, well, we got 24 minutes. We ought to fire it up, huh? Because this thing has got a really amazing sound to it. It's got like a, you know, I've got one of the newer Husqvarna 455 Ranchers, which is a 54cc saw, but it's a lot quieter than this is. And this one's got kind of a gnarly whack, whack, whack sound to the exhaust, and I really love it. So we're going to pull the choke all the way out, hit the doohickey, you know, the throttle opener, turn our ignition on. That's our manual bar oiler. So we'll pull it. Okay, it fired. We'll pull it in halfway, hit the choke thing again. it's a little bit cold-blooded. And like I said, I just rebuilt the carb, so it'll need some more adjusting, and I'll probably do that when I, because honestly, I took this out to the backyard and I cut a couple of 1-inch slices off of a 24-inch chunk of cottonwood, and that's all I've run it since I adjusted the carburetor. But did you hear that, or since I rebuilt the carburetor, but did you hear that whack, 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 whack sound on the exhaust? That's pretty cool, I think. So anyway, so if you're looking for the 28-inch or a 28-inch bar, that's the one that I've got. I've got 2 of them. Like I said, this one's for the 1010 and then one for the 610. I don't have a whole lot, you know, maybe 6-8 hours worth of run time on the other one, so I can't tell you about the longevity of them. But that is a combination that seems to work pretty well with the 1010 and the 610. The long bar, I really like it. Not only do you not have to bend over as much when you're working, but also if you got a limb that's, you know, or a tree that's kind of held over with a lot of snow, or one fell next to it and you got an awful lot of tension on it, you know, that extra 8 inches worth of bar, you know, now instead of being here on something that, you know, is probably going to snap when you finish cutting it, now you can get way out here, you know, and I like that quite a bit. The skip chain, these don't seem to mind pulling that skip chain. I don't know if it had extra teeth in here, if it would or not, but anyways, it's something I'm really enjoying, the 28-inch bar on these saws. So if you need a 28-inch bar on a 1010 or a 610, that's the part numbers, the ones that I use. Again, this is Joe Calton with Calton Cutlery. You can find me on the web, caltoncutlery.com. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we will see you next time.